Hey guys, Dr.TonyVercillo here. I'm going to be your host today, and this is episode 23 of the Ask the Doc Life Lessons You Should Have Been Taught in School podcast. The purpose of this episode is to provide you with some insight into our current Social Security retirement system. The question becomes, will Social Security be your best bet for retirement, let's say 30 years from now? If you're older, of course, it might be 10 years. Will it go bust? Will it be around for us? Look, I say it's not going to go bust, but there are inherent problems in the system, and we're going to talk about that today and flush it out. I might add that on the Patreon channel, the secret episode attached to this has 10 ways you can maximize your Social Security benefits. So you may want to check that out when you get a chance. Let's talk about a little bit of the history of Social Security. President Teddy Roosevelt, back in 1935, decided to sign the Social Security Act into law on August 14th, again, 1935, only 14 months after sending a special message to Congress that he promised to develop a plan for social insurance as a safeguard against, quote, the hazards and vicissitudes of life. The Social Security Act was then established, and it attacks two different types of provisions for old age security. One, federal aid to the states to enable them to provide cash pensions, to their needy aged, and a system of federal age-old benefits for retired workers. Let's talk about the current state. The current state of Social Security is absolutely abysmal. Congress has borrowed $3 trillion, not billion, not million, $3 trillion from the fund, while at the same time, baby boomers are retiring in troves. In the coming years, Social Security is expected to receive a lot less revenue, thereby causing the government to tap into its trust fund to keep up with scheduled benefits. So, what's the truth? Is it all is lost? No. Social Security is here to stay, as the government is obligated to pay back that $3 trillion. To be frank, based upon the fact that Social Security will literally run out of money by 2035 unless something changes, I tell you, we need to do something differently. I might also add that in the secret episode, again, I am going to help you maximize your benefits, so take a listen. Back to the current state. Should you count on Social Security for your retirement? Emphatically, no. You need to re-listen to episodes 2 and 3 about investing in the market. You need to control your own retirement plan and your own future destiny. The only way to create generational wealth is to create it yourself. I mean, just think about it. You work for about 40 years only to allegedly retire at age 65. The problem is that around 2/3 of the people in the United States at age 65, the so-called retirement age, do not have sufficient funds to retire and live comfortably. So we work 40 years, you retire at 65 or 66. What do you have? Another good 10 years, 12 years to live? Meanwhile, you worked 40 years? Forget that. You want to set up your life so you can retire at 55 and have a good 25 to 35 years on retirement. That's what you want to do. Today, many people are working into their 70s, okay? And that's a bit of a problem. But at the same time, the Social Security Administration is going to look at that and say, okay, let's raise the age. Today, around 65, 66 and 6 months, around there is when you're scheduled to retire. Most people are kind of hanging out and waiting till they're 70 at this point. And this is where I have a problem. Again, let's say you do work and you retire at age 72. Well, God, you may be maxing out your Social Security, but how many good years do you have left? Maybe you have 10, I don't know. This is why I urge you to start young and patiently keep on investing in the market through the 3 types of stock market accounts we discussed in episode 2. A dividend portfolio, a growth portfolio, and a speculative portfolio. To remind you, a growth portfolio would be something along the lines of Amazon stock. These dividend portfolio, something like Enterprise Product Partners, EDP symbol. And then the speculative one, for example, might be something like an AI stock. So you really want to start young, put around $400 a month into an account. I know it sounds steep, but in 30 years, $400 a month at around 78%, you're going to have close to $1 million in the account. So that's the whole ticket. So, what is our government planning on doing to keep Social Security solvent? Simple answers. Probably not in this upcoming administration, but the one after this, the president will need to deal with pending Social Security insolvency. So what will the government do? In order to fix Social Security, here's what they need to consider. There's 4 things. 1, they may have to cut benefits on future retirees. Of course, a problem. 2, raising the retirement age to, let's say, 70, not 66-ish. And for your generation, millennials, Generation X and Generation Ys, that poses a problem. Number 3, raising both the employer and employee tax rate for Social Security, which today is 6.2%, but if you include Medicare, it's more like around 7.65%. My understanding is they're going to have no choice but to raise the combined Medicare and Social Security tax to as high as 9% versus 7.65. And then 4 is raising the Social Security earnings threshold. Today it's at 168,600. It was only 160,000 just before that, and most likely they're going to raise that to 175,000. And what that means is, as an individual, you'll be taxed for Social Security up to the income level of right now 168,600, and most likely it's going to go to 175 by year 2026. The reality is there's going to be some combination of these changes made before 2035, and we have no choice here. The conclusion is take care of yourself and use Social Security as an augmentation of your income and not your main source of it. Okay, that's it for now, folks. Remember to consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, become a member of my Patreon family, and please, when you get a chance, leave me comments, remarks, things you want to see differently, things you want me to do better, things you don't like. Social Security is not just another government program. It is set up to protect generation after generation. Signing off, this is Dr. V. See you soon.